My name is Alex Klokas. I am the CEO of Futurism.com. We are a media company that covers breakthrough science and technology, and I am excited to be your moderator today. Yesterday we had fabulous sessions discussing AI 101, AI in security, AI in the future of cities, and the government's role in investing in robotics and AI. Today we have two fantastic sessions for you. The first session is going to be Daniela Rus, who is going to be talking about AI and the future of work. Daniela is the director for MIT's Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Lab, CSAIL for short, which is MIT's largest research center with over 1,000 researchers, and is also known as the birthplace of AI. Daniela is a MacArthur Fellow and a member of the National Academy of Engineering and American Academy of Arts and Sciences. Daniela's research is bringing cheap, easily produced robots into every part of contemporary life. So it's only appropriate that we have Daniela here to discuss AI and the future of work. Daniela, thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So I get two types of reactions from people when I tell them that I am an AI researcher. Some people get very anxious and start making jokes about Skynet and ask me when the robots will take over their jobs. And the other category asks me, when will my car become self-driving and how much work could I offload to machines? Well, I believe that everyone stands to benefit from AI. But it is important to understand the fears of the first group and to provide alternatives for how to see things differently. And this starts with understanding that AI is a tool. It's just a tool. It isn't inherently good or bad. It is what we choose to do with it, and I believe we can choose some incredible things. Here's an example. About a year ago, we published a new algorithm for matching supply and demand, and we applied it to the transportation demand of New York City, which today has 14,000 taxis that support about 400,000 transportation requests every day. With our algorithm, we can reduce the number of taxis needed to 3,000, provided that people agree to share rides when convenient, up to 4 people per ride. And this only introduces 3 minutes of delay in your transportation job. So this is kind of exciting because imagine the changes in the city. Imagine better traffic, lower pollution, less noise, improved quality of life. But does this mean that 10,000 taxi drivers are out of jobs? Well, maybe. But there are different ways to see this situation. So in a different interpretation, we can imagine a business model. That keeps the same jobs, that keeps the same drivers, and gives them less work time, shorter shifts. There's the same demand in the system, so the taxi drivers can make the same wages, the company makes the same profit, everyone is better off. Now, in the future, the taxis could become autonomous, and this will completely change the landscape. The taxi jobs will get to be in trouble, but this future is not here yet. In fact, the technology for level 5 autonomy is not ready for public roads. However, it is ready for simpler environments where vehicles move at lower speeds in lower congestion. And this is kind of exciting because even with today's technology, we can actually impact. We can create better impact for many people, for many situations. So for instance, we can get people in their retirement to have a higher quality of life. So here's Bob. Say Bob wants to go to the park with his friend Alice. Today, Bob waits for a social worker to push him in a wheelchair. But tomorrow, Bob could call the You Got Wheels interface. And he could pick, maybe today he picks a mini shuttle and tomorrow he picks a shopping cart or an autonomous scooter. And when the robot arrives, Bob gets a call And off bob is to see the fish or to visit the park with his friend Alice. Now notice that this car does not have a driver, but we should not consider this as displacing work because in fact the service doesn't exist today. However, this kind of service will employ a lot of people to design the vehicles, to manage the fleet, to maintain the fleet. So we are seeing tremendous progress today in a number of fields that are producing tools to help us with physical and with cognitive work. And progress is happening simultaneously in three fields. Robotics sets computation in motion, AI brings machines the ability to reason, and machine learning enables machines to improve, make predictions, and create adaptation routines. And this transfers into two types of support for automation: autonomy in motion, like the autonomous driving service we have just seen, and also autonomy at rest. And autonomy at rest is enabled today by machines' ability to assimilate and process a lot of data. All fields that have a lot of data can benefit from these new technologies. And these new technologies are enabled by machine learning, which starts with a body of data and then aims to learn a rule that explains the data and make predictions. So for example, medicine is a great example of a field that is benefiting from AI. In a recent study, we have studied how doctors and AI systems respond to images of lymph nodes. And I should tell you that today, machines can read more radiology scans in a day than doctors will see in a lifetime. So in a recent study, doctors and AI systems were presented with scans of lymph nodes, and they were asked to label them as cancer or not cancer. The AI system made 7.5% error as compared to the pathologist's 3.5% error. But working together, humans and machines achieved 0.5% error, which is extraordinary. Now, these techniques are currently available only in the most advanced treatments in the world. But imagine a day when everyone has access to these systems. Doctors in rural areas or overworked doctors who do not have time to be on top of the latest and greatest studies will be able to offer their patients the most advanced treatments by working in tandem with machines. So we should think about humans being amplified in their work by machines. Now, AI can also impact the work of lawyers. And we have already seen how lawyers draft documents, exchange information, and access information due to advances in computing. The next wave of technologies, natural language understanding systems, promises an equally profound impact on the nature of work that lawyers do. So in particular, natural language systems can read entire libraries of books and provide the information in those books just at the right time when is needed. Furthermore, with these systems, lawyers will be able to predict the outcome of a particular judge's decision, and will be able to access information much more frequently and with much greater agility than they can today. But this doesn't mean that machines are becoming lawyers. Machines are changing the nature of work that lawyers do, but machines cannot counsel clients, they cannot write compelling briefs, they cannot persuade judges. Now, machines are also enabling advances in just about any other field. So, for instance, financial analysts are getting huge support from the latest and greatest in AI systems. And you should think of an AI system supporting a financial analyst as an intern running errands in the background, or as an agent that can process simple tasks, but has to go to the human for more complex decision making. With these techniques, we have created already machines that are supporting people in so many tasks and supporting businesses in so many tasks. So already today, businesses are seeing what people are saying in social media in real time. Businesses are predicting issues in the supply chain. Businesses are enabling people across the world to connect with each other through instantaneous translation systems, which have achieved the capabilities of the best human translators. All these advances and much more are enabled by a particular type of machine learning called deep learning. And deep learning starts with a lot of data, usually humanly labeled data, and aims to figure out the weights of the nodes in a convolutional neural network so that when a new piece of data gets presented to the system, that piece of data will be classified correctly. So for instance, the network might look at a photograph like this and say there is a palm tree, there's sea, there's beach. And when a new picture gets presented to the network, so let's see, so when a new picture arrives at the network, for instance, this one, the network will say, this is a picture of a beach. But we have to understand what the fact that the network recognizes this as a beach really means. It really only means that the pixels that represent the beach in this picture are similar to the pixels in other pictures that people have manually labeled. This system has no idea what a beach is, whereas you all do. So this system doesn't know, what do you do with a beach? Do you eat it? Do you drink it? Do you step on it? What does it feel like when you walk on it? What is the purpose of the beach? These are all common sense reasoning questions that we associate with the objects that we see, but that computers do not have. And I want to give you another example about machine learning so that you can get a good sense of the capability of today's algorithms. So have a look at these two pictures. Do they look the same to you? They look the same to me. But in fact, there are subtle differences between those two pictures. And you can see the noise in the panel in between them. Well, this noise that was injected in the first picture to create the second was enough to fool a neural network, a deep learning network, that correctly identified the first picture as a poodle to label the second picture as an ostrich. So the systems make mistakes. The systems make mistakes. But even though these systems make mistakes, in fact, these systems are extraordinarily powerful at how we enable new types of applications in the world. So the systems are able to use predictive and data-driven methods in order to add personalization, customization, and in general, improved efficiency in everything we do, in all aspects of our works. But these systems do not have the same abilities that humans do. Humanity outperforms existing AI systems at many tasks that involve perception, that involve reasoning, that involve creativity. And while these systems are really extraordinary at enabling data crunching and prediction based on data, data crunching is not knowledge. So when we think about how people and machines work together for the future, we have to keep this perspective in mind. Now, in fact, because these systems are not able to outthink humanity, we have a lot of potential opportunities for working with the systems. And in fact, in these charts, I have drawn a few types of jobs. In fact, 4 types of jobs: cognitive jobs, and medium-level jobs, and then unskilled labor jobs. So these are according to the cognition required and also the income that they generate. Today's AI systems will have trouble with the jobs in the first category because they are not so good at critical thinking and at applying expertise. And systems will also struggle with the jobs in the lowest category. Because while robots might automate welding, robots will struggle with tasks that involve fine interaction with the world. It is easier to send a robot to Mars than it is to get that robot to clear your tabletop. So we will not see robots in construction and forestry in a significant way in the near future. But we may automate the jobs in the middle. However, even for jobs in the middle, like bookkeeping or accountancy, these jobs have critical aspects to them that are challenging to automate. For example, the critical interactions with the clients in accountancy or in bookkeeping. And this actually suggests that we should consider the automation of tasks rather than professions. And in this chart, you see a set of jobs, and you see the type of tasks people carry out in each of these jobs. So they range from applying expertise, interacting with stakeholders, doing data tasks, and doing predictable and unpredictable physical work. The size of the bubbles shows the amount of time spent in that task, and the color shows whether the task is automatable or not. In green and blue, you see the tasks that are most likely to be automated. In red, you see the tasks that are not automatable yet. So this is kind of exciting. This is really giving me a lot of optimism about the future, and in particular about a future with machines, a future where machines can amplify and augment the work we do to take on routine tasks while allowing us to focus on the tasks we find exciting. The other point I want to make is that while it is reasonably easy to consider, to project forward and consider which tasks might be automatable, it is very challenging to think about which new jobs might be created. So for instance, in the 20th century, agricultural employment in the United States dropped from 40% to 2%. And a clairvoyant person in the 1900s might have predicted this. But consider that only 2 decades ago, when the computing industry was in full bloom, nobody predicted the boom in social media. In fact, this is a list of 10 jobs that did not exist 10 years ago. And consider the positive impact these job categories has on today's society. So I'm in general an optimist about where we are with respect to jobs, but I do have 2 concerns. One concern is about the quality of the job, and the other is about wages. So I'm not concerned about whether we will have enough jobs, but will we have enough good jobs? Because sometimes when you introduce a new job, a new technology, that technology can lower the barrier of entry in the field. So for instance, GPS made it possible for many people to become taxi drivers without having to memorize maps. But that lowered the wages in taxi driving, and the jobs became less effective. So I only see one way out of this conundrum, and that is lifelong learning and retraining. And in particular, in the short term, I think we can provide people with new skills. And I want to highlight a particular organization, a particular startup that is doing very innovative work in the United States, in Kentucky. The startup is called BitSource. They are retraining coal miners who lost their jobs to become coders, to become data miners. And this has been extraordinarily successful. In the long term, I think we should train everyone in computational thinking and computational making, and in 10 years' time, all of our children will be ready for an IT economy. Now, Americans are generally very positive about the impact of AI on life, and in fact, in a recent Gallup poll, 8 in 10 Americans have expressed enthusiasm and positive feelings towards the use of AI in the economy. However, when it comes to whether they will be prepared and whether they will have sources to retrain, between 30 and 50% are positive, so the numbers look a little bit different. Moreover, Americans really believe that it is the role of employers to provide retraining programs. 49% of Americans believe that the employers should help them reskill and retrain. And they're also divided in their mixed, and they have mixed views on the role of government with AI. So 70% of Americans strongly believe that it is the job of their employers to help them with job retraining. 52% only support the idea of a universal basic income. And 80% say that companies that benefit the most from AI should actually support retraining. So very interesting studies. Now, we're nearing the end of the talk, and I would just like to leave you with one of my favorite quotes. And this comes from John Kennedy, who said, "If men have the talent to invent machines that put men out of work, they have the talent to put those men back to work." And I love this quote because I think it is so profound and so universal. It was true in 1962. It is also true in 2018. The only thing I would change is men to men and women, or to people. So in one important sense, machines are like people. They have the power to support us or to hurt us. And it is up to us to decide how we interact with them. We cannot stop technology from advancing and changing the world. But we can stop to understand the consequences and to identify a set of rules that will ensure that all the changes are for the greater good. I really believe that machines and people do not have to compete, especially when they can get so much better when they work together. Thank you very much.